Dean Veloso, Dean Stabile and Thibault, distinguished faculty, parents, graduates, fellow alumni, and distinguished guests. Good afternoon, all. Some of you will have noted the use of the word graduate, though I'm actually told you'll only formally graduate upon completion of the work program, which is the next phase for all of you. But let that be today's first lesson. Always have an optimistic mindset. So first off, and I think the deans have already expressed their congratulations, but you do deserve a hearty round of congratulations for all the students today. It's a great day for each of you. After today, you take, I guess, your first certain steps into the world of business. The road ahead will be exciting, but perhaps that can wait for today. Remember to savor this day, spend it with the people who've been with you through this experience. I remember my own graduation from INSEAD. It was a beautiful Fontainebleau summer's day, so maybe a little different from this. But the entire day was suffused by a little magic and smiles. The world seemed wonderful, full of promise. I was surrounded by the best people in the world. I hope it's such a day for you. Please enjoy every minute of today. As a fourth promotion to graduate in the Masters in Management program, you represent another example of INSEAD's never-ending innovation, but one that always stays true to providing the finest management education for today. I hope you take with you not just the lessons you've learned, but also the spirit of the place, to stay open to ideas, to always seek a better answer, and to speak up to do good. Let's also take a minute to thank the deans, the faculty, and the ever hardworking INSEAD teams, from admissions to the student support teams to careers, who have been at the heart of this experience for you. I hope you realize it's a privilege to work and to be taught by such a team. So please, a big round of applause for faculty and the INSEAD team. And I think you may find as you progress in life that it was indeed a moment where it's rare to have this privilege because, to be frank, unconventional thinking has become a little bit out of fashion in today's world. But more about that later. I see many parents here as well, and they too deserve credit and a big thank you for being your greatest supporters. They are, I guarantee you, insanely proud of you today. Yes, it's time you stood on your own feet, but do remember they were the first ones to help you to do so. I have two daughters myself, who aren't too much younger than everyone else in this room. And days like these, I can assure you, sometimes with that bittersweet hint of a tear, are special to us parents. So please, one more big round of applause for the parents who've been here for you and brought you here. I'd like to thank the school and the promotion for the opportunity to speak to you today. I hope I'm able to impart some useful ideas or lessons to you in the short time we have together. It's a great honor, and I am glad to discharge it. I hope it's also not just because I'm rapidly becoming one of the oldest alumni in the region. But if that's the case, I beg your indulgence to listen to me and pretend later on at drinks that you enjoyed it very much. You will have discovered by now that getting ahead in this world is much more about hard work than secret handshakes. Perhaps it's more apt to say that success requires a degree of preparation, perhaps, and can't just be based on inspiration. So my words today are built around my own beliefs about what it means to be prepared for what's ahead, based on my own journey into the unknown that you will step out into. It's a good time for a short introduction. Thank you very much, Dean Stabile, but a little bit more detail. I'm Malaysian, born in Malaysia, from a Punjabi family, like all Malaysians, therefore suitably multicultural. And I'm a very proud Malaysian as well. I was born, it looks to me on first glance, some years before some of you took your first steps, but I'm going to ignore that, right? Like any kid from a suburb, I'm sure there are many of you as well, I dreamed of big things, but at that point in my life, it wasn't so much about business, right? I come from a family of academics, civil servants, lawyers, and, you guessed it, doctors. As third-generation Malaysians, you carry with you that generational ambition to always do better. But perhaps the one different thing I did, and my parents allowed me to do so, so I really must thank them for their ability to put up with family pressure, was to pursue some non-traditional choices, or at least back then, seemingly non-traditional choices. The first one was that in spite of my grades, to choose not to be a lawyer or a doctor. So I ended up with a genetics degree from Cambridge, which I must say wasn't too bad a second option. So, I can't really complain. But then started work in corporate communications, where I had the privilege to start writing speeches for a CEO. And that's about when I realized I actually quite liked this business thing, because I'd never thought much about it. He was also the only man who was ever corrected my English, so it left a lifelong impression, let's just say. Now, I ended up moving on, running hospitals before I went to INSEAD. And at that time, when I chose INSEAD, I can safely say that no Malaysians had ever heard of it, right? I think the choice would have been to go to a US school. So, I think what attracted me to INSEAD is probably, I hope, what you have experienced, just the sheer incredible multiculturalism of the place and the ability to speak the truth, which to me was actually a truly revelatory experience. Now, you must, I believe, follow the path that fits your needs and wants. As I'll talk about a little later, staying true to yourself is a key requirement for getting out of the other end in one piece. For me, it's always been about retaining a sense of adventure over conformity, and that's really been my driving force. My post-INSEAD career took in a long stint at the Boston Consulting Group, and then in telco, in Maxis, in Asiata. And I've been lucky enough to work in great locations. I hope that'll happen to you too. I spent, time in Bangkok, Toronto, Colombo. I've had the good fortune to grow 2 telecoms infra companies, and my current one through, the chance to create a venture later in my career, working with private equity. So when asked to speak, I reflected a little on what would be the most useful things to say. I could talk about how I chose all my opportunities, how they came to me, but I have to admit that some of the outcomes and some of the opportunities have huge slices of luck and timing about them. So I wondered if what might make more sense is to offer some personal reflections on how to be in a position of readiness when choosing a path, so when opportunity comes knocking. So in a sense, I believe that you must make good use of your good luck, but you have to be prepared in order to do so as well. My first message, and I think you will like this, is simply to enjoy yourself and drink from the cup of life. Try everything, eat everything, drink everything, at least for the first few years of life till it catches up with you. There is so much to see and do in this world, and the storehouse of experiences you will gain will help you not just grow as a person, but I think in surprising moments, be the key to connecting with someone across the table or a story you can tell to set people at ease. You're knowledge rich, but experience poor. So build up the experiences. This attitude of exploration should extend to your working life too. Do difficult and unpopular things as well to teach you about the limits you have and the burdens other people carry. Work with strange and unusual people. Take projects in frontier lands. Have adventures. Don't worry, parents, I survived. Right? While you do all this, try to see the world through the eyes of others, which is the second message I have. That is, be a Padawan. Lightsabers can be tricky. I have always liked the story of Japanese sushi chefs and the years it takes to progress from observing to knife care to actually cutting the fish. So I'm asking you to adopt an apprentice mindset in the coming few years. Look around you. See how people are addressing the issues of the day or leading or sometimes just creating a great spreadsheet. There are also lessons to be learned in how not to do things. Look at the mistakes people make, the examples of poor leadership styles around you. It's actually less important, I feel, to tie yourself down to formal mentors. Maybe it's helpful to you, as an individual. But I think the mindset of looking first and seeking to understand will really help you in the long run. My third point is probably easy for you for the time being, which is to stay young. It's going to be much harder to do that in the years beyond these first few years. The world and time can burden us with adult worries. It can lock you into standard paths and ideas that are always safer. By all means, gain and use wisdom, but don't lose a twinkle in your eye. It's not just about the need to make life fun and engaging, but that's key, by the way, but also about the type of leader you will be. If you don't see what's around you and what's really happening, and you lose the ability to be agile and to take risks, then you might have left your youthful self somewhere perhaps too far behind and never find that person again. So more than ever before, I think we need to engage with the world and understand what lies behind headlines and trends. It's not really about asking each of you to be a great fashion spotter, rather just staying open to new ideas and new things. People are often surprised by my next choice, the adoption of something I call positive paranoia. It's a little easier when you're Punjabi, by the way, but some people here will understand that. Somewhat inspired by Andy Grove's classic, I'm not sure anyone here reads it anymore, on the growth of Intel and growing businesses generally, only the paranoid survive. So I'm asking each of you to always think about the things that can go wrong. I'm not sure anyone who left INSEAD in '97 like we did, my promotion, would have imagined all the black swan events of recent years and the shape the world has taken. And even my basic paranoia wouldn't have been quite so imaginative. But the reason I think it's important, and I also call it positive paranoia, is it's just as important to not be rooted in a deer in headlights mode when things turn against you. Having thought through even a little bit of what may go wrong and how you can adjust and what actions to take is probably far more and enough preparation for when the world will actually rapidly shift around you. So when I left INSEAD in 1997, we were at the cusp of what political philosopher Fukuyama called the end of history, a time to come of unparalleled peace and opportunity. In the 5 years after leaving INSEAD, we experienced the Asian financial crisis, the month I left, the dot-com bust, 9/11, and the rise of Putin. So history has a way of biting back. Now, when you leave here, you'll want to rule the world tomorrow. Please do. That's not something I want to see changed. Ambition is important. We're all likely here as much for the curiosity for knowledge as the drive we have to keep moving forward. Perhaps what's important is to ensure two things: to learn that you have more time than you think and that you can always remake yourself in that time. And the second, to ensure when you do rule the world, please do some good as well. To taking your time. Cricket fans will recognize the old advice that you have more time than you think to take that shot. The advice applies just as well to the longer time scale of your career. Where you start, where you end are not predetermined points. Even the most steadfast amongst you will find there will be times and opportunities for that pivot into the unknown. I found myself at the end of a long, steady ascent into senior roles, suddenly in need of a next step. I exited as CEO, and all I had thought of doing was being a CEO. I was in my early 50s, received great advice from lots of friends around taking a break, enjoying retirement, doing board roles. But the best advice came from those who instead told me to head out and create my own business and show people what I can really do. And that's exactly what happened. Today, my founders and I, together with some amazing financial sponsors, have created the benchmark telecoms infra company in ASEAN. So when you get these moments, take time to listen to the lunatic fringe. You never know what may come out of it. But mostly, I'd say, worry less that so many people you know are doing so many interesting things. The doors are not closed to you, and they can open at any time. To doing good. Your generation faces great challenges to preserve and to refresh society. Things seem gloomy on all fronts, political, environmental, social. To be a force for good, as INSEAD aims to shape us, isn't easy in this context. In so many ways, we seem to have unleashed ancient demons back into the world. You have to lead in this climate and navigate social and geopolitical problems that, at least ever in my generation, thought were consigned by history. Today, many of my classmates have found renewed passion to attack these problems, and I'm actually very proud of them, especially focusing on climate change. You choose the path or the good you wish to do, but maybe I can suggest this. Try and be a force for good all the way through your career, wherever you can. In your personal or professional lives, weave in the ability to do something better for the world and the people around you. I would actually like you to think about one thing in particular, because I believe many of you will have the opportunity to participate in wealth creation opportunities, new business, listings. If you do, think about sharing that wealth creation opportunity more broadly with the people around you. For many of the teams you will lead, even a modest upside can be transformational for their lives, right? So I think, those are very simple ways that you can extend the benefit of all the efforts that you bring to something. Now, I hope if you've learned something in this year, is that you have been experiencing it with a great set of people, from peers to friends. I actually am glad to see the class statistics are reminiscent of my own from my time at INSEAD in terms of diversity. 51% from a non-business background, if I have that correct. Over 30 different identified mother tongues, 36 different nationalities, and nearly 40% women. So when I went to INSEAD, and I come from a multicultural, multi-country life, but I actually found the diversity quite head-spinning at first. And I hope the chief lesson, though, has been that in spite of appearances on the surface, you have so much in common with each other and that you have so much you can learn from each other. So as the dean said, stay connected. Stay connected to this group. It's unique. Your promotion will be the one set of people who will be there with you for all that is to come. My INSEAD promotion has been for me an incredible source of emotional and psychological support, because no one else will truly understand who you are like they do. They too grow and develop, but the common kernel that we shared from almost 30 years ago keeps our relationships vibrant and strong. And as the dean also remarked, please engage with the broader alumni communities. Support the networks in the countries you end up in. I think you'll find that you will meet so many people who feel the same and yet bring something different to your lives as well. And on to my 8th and final message for today. It's to get the architecture right in your personal life. It's not necessarily the priority for you right now, particularly, as I said earlier, go wild. But remember to think about this in the years to come. If I look at the people I've worked with or known over the years and the reasons they might struggle, I think so much is largely due to the inability to have this architecture right. You can always bounce back from business failures. In fact, how terrible are business failures really in the context of everything else in the world? But it's hard to recover from something that goes awry in your personal life. I'm not advocating everyone embrace a well-balanced family life. I'm rather saying try and work out what's right for you and build your personal support networks around that understanding. If it's work you want to dedicate yourself to over a much longer period, ensure you have the right life partner who will not mind that. If it's a well-balanced family life you want, ensure that you reconcile that with your career choices. Things have to mesh. There's no exact answer. And it's important, far more important, for you to understand what's right for you for the journey you wish to take. With that final reflection, our brief time is over. I hope it was useful and that echoes of it help you in the years to come. As an alum, I hope I can be of help. Anytime you find you have a need, so please reach out to me. I'm always pinging people back. I'll take a call. Seek me out if you wish to. I wish you a great journey ahead, and I hope you find the destinations that you seek. Remember today. So first lesson, just go and remember today, right? Have a great time. And then remember every day after that, I hope, right? Go forth. Be unstoppable. Just don't be unyielding. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you to the deans, faculty, and the INSEAD team who were kind enough to think of me, and all of you for being very patient listeners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suresh, for those 8 life lessons and lots of personal advice and experience.